Greetings, family. It seems the pushing and shoving that has happened in the past between President Jacob Zuma and the ANC is finally over. As soon after their meeting, finally, Jacob Zuma is expelled from the ANC. So this development is a development that is coming from a fallout that happened between, especially President Ramaphosa and Jacob Zuma during the very time that Zuma faced quite a lot of persecution from the ANC. And Jacob Zuma, having been imprisoned and dragged before the courts and things like that, it did not augur well with especially quite a number of supporters of Jacob Zuma, especially in the KwaZulu-Natal province, where it triggered some demonstrations that led to a lot of loss of life and a lot of properties vandalized and the like. And this did not end well. And of course, Jacob Zuma had promised that the war is not over. And this has continued on and on until it went into the time towards the elections, where President Zuma indicated that he was not going to be backing the ANC in the upcoming elections. And this rattled the ANC quite very, very much. And instead, we saw people like Figle Mpalula coming out lambasting Jacob Zuma in public, a move that was not very wise. Instead, those were issues that really were supposed to be discussed from comrades who had fallout, for them to reach some kind of neutral ground. But unfortunately, the ANC handled it in a very bad way that caused even President Zuma to move on and end up even putting his weight behind the MK party. And the MK party really is coming into picture, is ended up creating the political situation that we find today, where the ANC has totally failed to win the 50% majority, because many of the disgruntled ANC supporters seem to have moved to the MK party. And this is where it stands today, that ANC had to come into the GNU that is existing today. While the ANC has entered into that GNU, a lot of its own cadres, again, its supporters, they are still not happy, including other African parties. They are still complaining about the GNU with the DA, which the other black majority are seeing as a treachery that has happened to the South African black people, where the ANC is, like in courts, sold the struggle for the black people against white domination. So this remains a very critical issue and a thorny issue right within South Africa. But looking at what the ANC has continued on to do, to have a sitting where they finally agreed that they have to expel Jacob Zuma, this is not going to be changing anything. In fact, it is going to be, declaring a total war against the ANC by especially quite a number of the black people that believed that the rule by the black nationals in South Africa was actually a positive move towards their own freedom and economic power. So this looks like it has gone to a drawback. But the thing that we could say about the situation on the ground is that the ANC should just leave Jacob Zuma alone. I think it's a high time now that they've reached this point where they finally decided to expel him from the ANC. Well, fine. The good thing, the best thing that they can do now is just to let Jacob Zuma be and not continue to be rocking the boat, because this is really going to create a lot of problems for them, especially with the black people and a lot of other supporters that are supporting Jacob Zuma. The other major blow to the ANC is that quite a lot of people who are still right inside the ANC have a great soft spot for Jacob Zuma, because quite a lot of people, including other South Africans, they feel that the life was better during the time of Jacob Zuma. Because, of course, during the time of Zuma, there were no problems like the load shedding that South Africa experiences or has experienced, and quite a lot of other hardships that are coming up, the escalating of prices of basic commodities, and of course, creation of employment that Zuma looked like he was doing. Quite a lot of black people were quite happy about the way that availed jobs, for people to get some kind of, to make ends meet. But it seems like that has continued to dwindle down with President Ramaphosa. That has led to where the situation is right now. So the best advice that could be given to the ANC indeed is that they must just leave Jacob Zuma alone and not continue to be, just poking him and, just trying to provoke him and, revenge. I know that many cadres are very unhappy, especially Figile Mpalula is one of those people that have been speaking very negatively against President Zuma. So it will be very good for them to mature in politics and just decide to move on, mind their own business, leave the man alone. If he's running with his MK party and whatever that they are planning, let them just go and do what they have to do. The ANC will have to be sitting down to begin to restructure themselves to see how best they can, regain the popularity that they've all of a sudden lost because of quite a number of mistakes that they've done. And it is good for politicians to accept mistakes when they've done mistakes. It is good for them to also look at their failures and accept responsibility, for them to be able now to sit down and see how best they can do what they have to do. Because the best thing that needs to be done is to make sure that the expectations of the masses, the South African people, is actually driven home. They need to deliver quite a lot of the demands and the expectations of the people that have voted them into power. So the issue of fighting other rival political entities will not work at the end of the day. In fact, it derails the progress of the nation. So what they've done in terms of accepting other parties into the GNU, well, we will call it a positive move because it is for the betterment of the country at the end of the day. So there is a video that I may want you just to watch, talking about the very same issue of how President Zuma has been fired out of the ANC. And this is courtesy of Newsroom Africa. Let's just have a look.
What does this mean for the ANC, though? And I speak now from a broader point of view, even perhaps the leadership of the president of the party. Is this perhaps the long touted renewal of the ANC?
No, that's far from it. I mean, Zuma decided that he was going to join another party, and they egregiously took the name of a very, very respected institution that was charged by the ANC in 1961 to continue the struggle when the ANC itself had been banned. It acquitted itself extremely well, and it was nicely wrapped up when the task had been accomplished, namely the enemy, the apartheid government, agreed to talk. And when negotiations started, the MK was nicely packed away. Now to allow it to be revived, and the ANC is totally helpless to do anything about stopping this when they had the opportunity to do so, is the problem that we have.
Yeah.
You're talking about the leadership. The leadership should not have allowed this thing to be registered. I don't mind, personally, painful as it is, that Zuma took away so many votes from the ANC. That's fine. He exposed the witness of the ANC on the ground, took these people because people ANC leaders sat in offices in the region, in the province, and so on. And he worked on that. But to take the name of an organization which has seen people go to the gallows, which has seen people hanged, I'm saying, Mathang, Chris, Mini, and clothe yourself with it. And the ANC is unable to stop this person from doing that. That's the most painful, and there must still be a process of making sure that the ANC, not through litigation, reclaims this name. How do you mention the name of John Thorpe in the same sentence as Chris Allen? This is the problem that needs to be addressed for the sake of our current generation, and more importantly, for the generations of the future. What is Umkhonto weSizwe? It's not what we're seeing.
So this is what the ANC veteran is saying. But of course, the horses have bolted. I don't think this will change the situation because the party is already registered, and They've already, acquired MPs, and they're already in parliament, and the systems are already moving. They are already in control of quite a lot. They've also ventured into some metros, some at provincial levels. So already, I think it is too late to cry over spilt milk. This is the situation that is already on the ground, and it just has to be accepted that this is what has happened. But also, it must continue to teach politicians to be able to, solve problems before they spill out of control. Because in most cases, politicians watch problems begin, and they think that they'll always be on top of the situation, and they think that some other things will solve themselves. But later on, when it is too late, they start to cry foul. And I think this is what is happening with the ANC. For them to continue to be crying over the MK name and things like that, it is already too late. It's not going to be changing anything at the moment as we speak. So the MK still remains a powerhouse, still remains a force to reckon with in the South African political arena. And if also care is not taken by the ANC, the party might continue to become stronger and stronger. And we don't know, some of the cadres from ANC we have declared that they are leaving the party, especially after the ANC's GNU with the DA, and of course the other complaints that were already existing. Those that have gone out, we don't know where they are going. You might be surprised to see them now emerging right from the other side as now cadres of the MK, and that could be a serious blow to the ANC. With the other elections that will be coming next, it only takes the ANC to really take issues seriously and to stand their ground, to fix their house, put their house in order, or else they are not going to be surviving even the upcoming elections. If they are not careful, ANC might end up being history while they join the queue down there with those other parties that are very, or rather the minority in the political arena of South Africa. So this is what it is, family, just updates of what we are experiencing around our country and the neighbors, and as well as all over the world. Remain blessed till we shall meet again. I know that there are some that have not yet subscribed to this channel. Please do so by just clicking on that subscribe button, and also ring the bell so you can continue to receive notifications each time that we go live. Remain blessed till we meet again.